Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. Today's article has to do with an exemplification of what happens when you have, um, I don't know, other nationalities um, getting into the leading position in foreign countries or other countries. Let's say um, I get to be, I don't know, a senator in the United States, and obviously I came from Romania, and then Romania gets in a scuffle with Hungary, and then do you think that I might be so objective in providing or not providing weapons to Romania against Hungary? Or do you think that I would be subjective and I will try to do a lot to help the Romanians where I come from? Well, if you know, in an absolute ideal world, I would be impartial and I would care only what's beneficial for the United States of America. Correct? That's the way it should be. The problem is that people coming from other countries uh, lose their allegiance slowly. Some don't lose it at all, and especially if you were involved in some activities in that country, some nationalist activities, or in the military, or something where the love of the fatherland or the motherland is strong. Now, this article that I will read here is about a Kurdish fighter, Kurdish national who lives in Sweden. Now it's Swedish, and she has a tremendous power in determining some foreign policies that Sweden will undertake um, towards Turkey, the Kurds in northern Syria, the Kurds in southern Turkey. So you'll see how that influences Sweden as a country, because if this individual upsets Turkey, Turkey will not allow Sweden to be a member of NATO. So see how allegiance puts a country in a bad spot. Let me read you this article. So it comes from Reuters from Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. And I'm reading the title, headline. Swedish government survives no confidence vote with help of former Kurdish fighter. Okay, but she's a lady. And Sweden's government survived a no confidence vote on Tuesday with the help of a lawmaker whose demands for support for Kurds in northern Syria could complicate its attempts to join NATO. So this Kurdish lawmaker in the Swedish parliament does something that will affect Sweden in relation to Turkey and NATO because of her own Kurds in northern Syria that the Turks have problems with, and Sweden has nothing to do. She has, not Sweden. But now Sweden has a bigger problem, Turkey and NATO. So Turkey is blocking both Sweden and Finland's hopes to quick accession to the NATO military alliance after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, arguing both countries harbor people linked to Kurdish groups it deems terrorists. So Turkey says, no, you got groups over there, Turks, you got Kurds in your country that you defend them and you harbor them. Wink, wink. So, independent member of parliament, and this is the Kurdish lady, Amianeh Kakabaveh, who is of Iranian Kurdish descent, abstained from voting on the motion brought by the center-right opposition against Justice Minister Morgan Johansson of a rising gang crime. Gang crime. It's not gang crime, because that gang crime occurs only in certain neighborhoods of a certain composition. It doesn't occur in other neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods of other composition. I can't say more because you know why, right? But you get the idea, the reality. So and it says here, without KKBV vote, the no confidence motion won the support of only 174 members of parliament, one short of the 175 needed to pass. Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson had said her social democrat, they're democrat, socialists are democrat. I love this combination. I love, yeah, social democrat. You know that socialism is the highest form of democracy, actually, if you take it by that. But if you look at the socialist countries, they all have a problem with democracy. Nevertheless, so her social democrat minority government would resign if her minister was voted out. Sweden has grappled with rising gang violence in recent years. It was not a gang violence. It was those teens, those guys who start burning cars and neighborhoods because of a guy who dual citizenship, Danish and Swedish citizenship. He burned the Quran. And this guy, gang, they switched the focus. Oh, they're gangs. What kind of gangs? Really, all of them are gangs? But they switch it. They paint it in a different name. So it's not because of that, and they threaten to kill the guy and so on if he does that in Sweden. Free country. But the Swedes, you know, those angry berserk Swedes, that they always had like this problem in a society. They always rioted and burned stuff when they didn't like something, right? I remember all their history were like this. In the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, they were crazy, man. When they didn't like something, they just burned their neighborhoods. And who was paying? I don't know, their parents. Woohoo! So Sweden has grappled with rising gang violence in recent years after they imported a lot of gang violence, right? Which the opposition blame on generous immigration policies and lax crime prevention under the Social Democrats. All right. So far this year, at least 30 people have been shot dead. And in the past two decades, Sweden has gone from having among the lowest number of deadly shootings per capita in Europe to among the highest. I told you the Swedes were bad before, what, 70s. They were very bad. Not. Kakabeveh, herself a former Kurdish Peshmerga fighter. So she was a fighter. Okay? Told Reuters on Friday she would help the government if it affirmed that, and I'm quoting, we support the Kurds and people from those organizations coming to Sweden are not terrorists. So we support the Kurds and the people from those organizations coming to Sweden are not terrorists. So she's very much in tone with her Kurdish influence. She's not, because of this, Sweden will not be part of NATO. So all Sweden will be affected because some Kurds, because one Kurdish parliamentarian. Okay, there you have it. On third, what if there's going to be, they're going to get more of those guys? Let's say they got more and they get elected because you have a bigger community, and they will be like 30% of Swedish parliament Kurds. What's going to happen then? Oh, diversity? Oh, I got it. Thank you. I didn't get the answer. What do you think would happen then? Or you get Romanians or whatever. Is that Sweden? On Thursday in Parliament, Kakabaveh criticized Turkish leader Erdogan for opposing Sweden's candidacy to NATO and pressuring Stockholm into adopting Sweden's freedom of speech and freedom of assembly to his demands. That was not it, but she's just, again, switching the goal and switching the idea. They switch it. It was the gang violence, the same. Oh no, Erdogan was about the free speech. And yeah, like those guys, fighters, Kurdish fighters, come to Sweden, and they're just, nice, productive members of the Swedish society. As I said, they just drop their heavy weapons and they will become peasants in the field, Like what? Like Maximus from the Gladiator 2000, right? He just wanted to go home and be a peasant from the Roman general. That's all what we want. Yes, yes. Gotta be kidding me. This guy's portrayed things in a cuckoo land, oh my God. Addressing her fellow lawmakers, she said, and I'm quoting, "It is this chamber that Swedish laws are decided, not in Ankara, neither in Kurdistan or in Kurdish areas, my dear." How about that? You're very fast to point out that it's not in Ankara, but you're not fast to point out that actually because of those external people of Sweden, the people of Sweden will be affected, threatened by Russia, remember? Will threaten their existence because of the Kurds. So she holds that. So what's wrong here? Which one is it? What's the worst scenario? Not getting into NATO and the Russians attack them and destroy them, as we're told they will, if they're not part of NATO? Or letting those Kurds do their own thing and Sweden do its own thing? And Erdogan, say, okay, don't accept more Kurds, and I'm quoting terrorists, members of those guerrilla fighters or fighters. I don't expect fighters being verbal fighters, do you? Otherwise, it would be mentioned. So, Kakavababech previously rescued Andersson in November when Sweden's first woman prime minister was forced to briefly resign after just one day in office. So the prime minister now owes Kakavabech, or whatever her name is. Andersson promised that Sweden would deepen its cooperation with the Syrian Democratic Union Party, a Kurdish group. What kind of Kurdish group? Oh, you stop there. Turkey considers the party to be part of the PKK, which Sweden designates a terrorist organization. Not only Sweden, Turkey, Great Britain, United States, EU. The PKK has been waging an insurgency in Turkey since 1984, in which more than 40,000 people have been killed. Could I call them freedom fighters, or we call them terrorists? Which way? Terrorists by Ankara, freedom fighters by Ms. Kakavena? Which one is it? Sweden disagrees that Syrian partly, or several other Kurdish groups are part of the PKK. Andersson Social Democrats at the time said it was unacceptable that sympathizers of the Syrian party be considered terrorists. Unacceptable. How about free speech? Hello? Oh, okay. And I'm quoting, the deal, which is from November last year, is still valid, Social Democrat Party Secretary Tobias Baudin told news agency TT on Tuesday. The Social Democrats did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Sweden is due to hold a general election in September. So Ms. Kakavenach, or whatever her name is she for Sweden's interest, not gain NATO or NATO protection by the Defense Alliance, or for the Kurdish immigrants or / terrorists or whatever they want to call them? I don't know who they are, so I don't have a dog in this. My dog is that Sweden has to do what the other people who came over there will tell them to do, and they change the whole Swedish foreign policy based on these people getting in power. Legally, democratically, mass democracy. So as I said, what if in Sweden in the next 10 years is going to be, I don't know, 3 million Kurds, and they will vote their Kurds into the parliament? Then you have 30% of the parliament filled with Kurds. Do you think that Sweden will do something to Turkey? Do you think that Sweden will help the Kurds over there? Do you think they will get engaged? They will think that it's possible that Sweden could be drawn into maybe an armed conflict, or at least like what's going on over here, providing weapons to the Kurds over there? Do you think so? You see, this is just an example. It's just an example. But and you got Romanians in the United States. Who knows what can happen, right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.